Sublime colloquies for others. So leave the turmoil of the oasis. I'm sorry. So leave the turmoil for the oasis of prayer to bask in self-renewal and peace. That's it's interesting that it says the most effective. It doesn't say it's an effective tool. It says it's the most effective. It's kind of tell us a hint. So let's then close our eyes. Take the moment, preserve this time for us to connect with God. Taking a deep breath. And in gratitude we say, thank you, Father, Heavenly Father, for all that has been given to us today and always. Thank you for this time. Thank you for reminding us that we do have the power inside of us to transform our inner peace, our inner harmony, our inner space, and together to gain the harmony that we all search for. So help us today to be open to the messages that we are about to receive, to the healing energy, and above all, may your will be done, not ours. So be it. So be it.
Thank you, Susanna. Good morning, everyone. So, yeah, that was a beautiful message, and again, there is a lot to do what we're talking about today. So as we can see, we're talking about Jesus and his teachings, and one of his teachings was exactly talk to God that is inside ourselves. And he even taught us how to do it with the Lord's Prayer, right? And so pray definitely it is, and like Joanna was saying in the reading that Susanna just did, that prayer is a way of maintain our own balance, to become centered, and to connect with God, to connect with the light inside of ourselves. Because since we are God's creature, we have the light inside ourselves. So we just need to be connected, because being here on earth, it's so much easier to get lost and get distracted. So through prayer and meditation, prayer is a kind of meditation as well. And so far we know by Jesus' examples, what we know about the history, he used to go in the desert, right, to meditate and pray. And so that's very important for us as well, to be able to go through the struggles that we have in our everyday lives, and to connect and to hear the voices from our mentors, our guides, and above all, God's and Jesus' voices and good advices. So here I got this message from the book Living Spring, and I quoted, and that's, I'm sorry, so that's the title, Beyond Others. So what is about beyond others? So Jesus is asking us, what are you doing different from others? And then here it's a quote from Paul, the apostle, from Matthew, sorry. From Matthew's, that it says, don't the Republicans, I'm sorry, don't the publicans also do the same? And the publicans, there were, I don't know if you know, but there were some people at the time of Jesus that they were the ones who were doing like everything right, and so they take themselves as better than others because they're following all the rules. So that's what Jesus is asking us. So what we're doing different from the um, publicans. So in our everyday lives, what are we doing different from everybody else? Because following the rules is something that we had to do, right? We do have to follow rules. We have rules everywhere, at schools, at work, here, at the Spirit Center, traffic rules or traffic laws. We can talk about rules and laws. So society has laws and rules, so everything works properly, right? And so this, we have to do it, otherwise things doesn't work. But besides that, what are we doing besides following the rules, besides going to work, besides paying our bills? As a parent, besides taking care of our children, what are you doing differently? So that's the question. That's what Jesus is questioning us. So if you want to be different, if you want to make a difference, what are we doing that's different? And to answer that question, I think prayer and meditation is the best way to do. Because how are we going to be able to know ourselves and know what's going on if we don't stop and meditate? Because it's so much easier to get distracted, right? So we wake up in the morning, whatever, we shower, have breakfast, go to work. So it's like, right, boom, 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 doing everything that we have to do. So if we don't stop and breathe and be in the present, just think what I'm doing. What does today means to me in my spiritual growth? Because that's why we're here, to grow spiritually. So those, our everyday routine, those are tools for us, but that cannot be our goal in life. We're not here to go to work. We're not here to eat, to sleep, to exercise, to go to school. That's not our main purpose. Those are tools that we have and that God's put in our lives, so we're able to actually reach our main goal. And what our main goal would be? To grow spiritually and to learn how to love. So if you don't stop, ask ourselves those questions and observe ourselves, meditate, pray. And pray can be, right? In the gospel, we learn that pray can be to ask for help. It can be to be grateful. It can be to honor God. Or the three of them, I would say. That's what I try to do every time when I pray. And when we ask for help, we can ask for please God, please Jesus, please Mother Mary, or please whoever you can relate better. Help me, or my guardian angel, help me to look inside myself. To look inside myself, and 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 to look inside myself ourselves. What I'm doing and what can I do beyond others? What can I do to help Jesus to make our planet a better place to live, including to myself? So here I put a few examples, people that were apart from others, from like ordinary people. Jesus, first of all, we learned that he's the most enlightened and perfect spirit that have ever been on earth. And I dare to say that it's really hard to find one person in the entire planet who never heard about Jesus. It's not incredible if you think about that? We know lots of famous people, right? Like the Beatles. Yes, right? Uh-huh. Yes, that's true. But it's like Elvis Presley. Who else? President Obama. And so many famous people all over the world. But if we think about it, the most famous person that ever been here was Jesus. People can hate him. There are people who hate him, unfortunately, yes. And there are people that, I don't know much about him, and there are people who love him. And I believe all of us who are here because we love Jesus and we believe on his teaching, so we're still struggling to learn. But can you imagine that time? There was no internet, no press, no communication, no TV, nothing. But everybody knows about him. So it must be something special about him, right? If you compare to anybody in this planet. So since he's so special, I think it's good for us to try to follow his path and understand truly his teachings and try to follow. So Jesus, and then Gandhi, right? Gandhi is very famous too. He did a huge work in India and England as well when they had the war, and his work was basically be in peace. And he did a huge difference. Why? Because he moved people in the entire country, and he was able to make peace between England and India. How? Using peace. He never used a weapon. He never used words of aggression or offensive, never. His weapons were love and peace as Jesus. So that's one thing that they have in common. And although he was not Christian, he followed Christians or Jesus' teachings, which was the main teaching from Jesus was love, right? Love one another. And love God above all. So Gandhi just followed Jesus, and he made a huge difference. And he still does, because there's still people, following him all over the world. Mother Teresa also was a sister, in India as well. She was from Calcutta. And the work that she did was incredible. And I remember Princess Diana, who went to visit her and actually did some charity work with her. And it was like all over the world knew that. And she's very admired from, everywhere as well knows about his work of charity and helping others and loving. Again, her work was based in love In Martin Luther King, who was a minister, everybody knows him in this country. We have Martin Luther King holiday in January to honor him, and he was able to put an end in segregation between colored and white people in this country, in the US. And there was a huge work of peace as well. And his work was based in peace, in love. So they're all related to Jesus. So if you think about it, what did those people do from the ordinary in their everyday lives? They decided to make a difference because they did not believe the world that they were living at that time. But they started small. Like Martin Luther King started in his, church. And then it just started growing. So why do things start growing? My opinion about that is just because he was doing his work based in love, different from everybody else. So he was truly following Jesus' teachings. Peace and love instead of hatred, war and power, and trying to think things through power and hatred and war and all that. So in this, again, going back to the book, that one of the questions that Jesus asked us, what do you give of yourself in the ministry of charity? If we think about those people, those examples, what are we doing to make a difference in our own little world? That starts, I would say, our inner world. What we're doing to change that to peace and love. Like to be the light inside ourselves, to use love inside ourselves. And then we go to a little bigger world, our homes. And then from our homes, our communities. And then going beyond. So if you think that if everybody in this planet would do the same, right? Start inside ourselves and then our homes and growing towards everybody that we relate, I believe it would heal this planet. There would be no more hatred, no more war, no more fights. But we do need to start small. And I believe that's how they did start small, right? They had their own community first, like, I'd not even talk about Jesus if you start with Gandhi. If you read about his life, and there are movies out there, his own biography, he started small. And then it just was spreading because it made sense. And people saw that his work made sense. That's why it grew so much. So what is our master's challenge? Our master's Jesus, right? So what is his challenge to us? He's questioning us what extraordinary thing we are doing. Again, in our small world. He's not asking us to change okay, I'm going to embrace the planet and change everything. No. What extraordinary little thing we can do in our world? What extraordinary can we do besides? Because you see people, again, following rules and doing everything right. But I step forward, since we believe that, since we want to follow Jesus' teachings, that's why we're here, I believe. So what are we doing to achieve that a little further, beyond the ordinary, beyond what everybody's doing? So just a question for us to think, and going back to the beginning, going back to the message that was read by John Evangelist, how can we find this answer? Praying, meditating, knowing ourselves, knowing our strength. How can we help? How can we make that bigger? How can we grow in our strength? And how can we illuminate what we need in ourselves to become better? And nobody's going to answer that for us. It has to be individual question, because after all, when we discarnate from this life to another one, to another plane, the question was going to be here in our own consciousness. What have I done in this life right now to make a difference in my life and everybody else that I encounter? Yeah, so that was what I want to share with us today. And just for us always to remember, who is our master, who is our guide, right? When we are questioning, when we don't know, let's try to understand Jesus' steps and ask for help. Say, Jesus, what I'm doing, what can I do to serve you better? What can I do to help you better, helping myself and helping others? What can I do to better follow your teachings? Thank you.